Hello, welcome to Project Review Committee for January 31st, 2024. We're going to go ahead and start Project Review Committee at 1:35 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and start with roll call. Myself, Oscar Cepeda, the Associate Planner. We're also joined by Rocio Mejia, the Assistant Planner. We're also joined by Garrett Keller, the Planning Technician. We're also joined by Jeff O'Neill, the City Planner. We're joined by Javier Sanchez, the Engineering and Project Management Director. We're joined by Michael Knight, the Public Works Director. We're also joined by Clayton Dignam, our Fire Marshal. We're also joined by James Wickersham, our Chief Building Official. We're also joined by Brianna Spry, our Field Service Refuse Superintendent. We're also joined by Mark Arcevedo, our Police Department Lieutenant, and also joined by Robert Alvarez, our Field Services Manager. Claudia? Oh yeah. Sorry. And Claudia Calderon also is joining us, the Acting Community Development Director. And that is all from city staff. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and open oral communications. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the committee on any matter pertaining to project review. Seeing no members of the public in person or no comments from members online, we're going to go ahead and close oral communications. And for today's agenda, we have one item, which is PRC number 2024-002 for Elevate Fitness, located at 118 North 2nd Street. The applicant is proposing a change in occupancy for Elevate Fitness, a health and wellness facility. The use or the business will offer instructional services for weight training, mobility, and access to functional strength training. The subject property is within the downtown retail north of Olive Zone District and has a general plan land use of downtown mixed use. As far as comments from the planning department, if there's going to be any changes to the exterior of the building, we want to make sure that the changes, if proposed, comply with the city's development ordinance and also our downtown design guidelines. In addition, any proposed signage for the use, permanent or temporary, would require a permit. As far as the zone district, you're allowed for a total of 2 square feet of signage per 1 linear feet of building frontage. Permitted signs include awning and canopy, marquee signs, projecting wall and window signs. As far as the use, the application did identify Again, that they would offer weight training courses, mobility lessons, and access to functional strength training, which is permitted under instructional services. But under the development code, it is limited to 5,000 square feet of floor area. So that is something that we would have to work with the applicant on identifying the area for the instructional services. The building does identify a total of 7,300 square feet. So one question from planning is there gonna be any future division of the building for multiple suites? Or are there gonna be any interior remodel, for example, for storage areas that may be excluded from the instructional service area? That way we could get it at 5,000 square feet or less in order to comply with our development standards.
Yeah, we will clarify that and we will resubmit with a clearer plan.
Correct. Thank you. And that's pretty much comments. And one last one, the maintenance of the parking lot. Under the development code, section 30608, for parking lots, including landscaped areas, driveways, and loading areas, shall be maintained free of refuse, debris, or other accumulated matter, and shall be kept in good repair at all times. And yes, that would be all for planning at this time, based off on the presented project. With that, we'll move along with the other departments, and we'll start with building with James.
Sure. It looks like the other previous remodel addressed all the exiting issues. Keep in mind, when you do submit something to reduce the square footage to 5,000, we would have to keep that any secondary exit in mind for egress purposes. Oscar mentioned signs are under a separate permit. That is true, and there is a sign already installed, obviously. Which company installed that sign, if I may ask?
Give me one moment and I will give you that information. The actual company name.
Okay. Yeah, so signs take a separate permit. Any other interior work would take a permit, as Chris and Kelsey are aware of that. I did notice when I stopped the other day that I told the representative that was there that as we were standing at one of the main doors there, that there was a couple wall heaters that were hung from the ceiling that weren't there from the previous tenant. So I don't know how much other work, I didn't walk inside, but I didn't know how much other work has been done. Has there been anything else done besides the sign and the
No, other
ceiling?
than that, we did remodel in terms of we did lay the rubber matted flooring and we did retile the restroom and paint work along all of it that was needed.
Okay, that sounds cosmetic, but you know, the heaters would take a permit.
Okay.
So if Chris and Kelsey, if you could add that to the submittal. And then also during the submittal, the refuse department's gonna talk about the trash enclosure. I know it got, on the crazy deals, it was brought up during PRC. It got missed during plan review. I know that one was a rush, try to get it done. So between PRC comments and plan review, it did get missed. I see that it's on here now. I'm guessing that Brianna will speak on where it's located, because it won't work where it's located now. We had met the owner of the building out there a few months ago and let them know where we would like it. And when I say we would like it, based on the trash route to pick those things up. So we can, Chris, if you want, we can talk about that later, if you'd like.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, other than that, if I could just get the information on the sign company.
Fair enough. Actually, it's a sole proprietor, and the name is Carlos Rodriguez, and I can actually give you. Would you like his contact information as well?
Yeah, we don't have to have it through words right now, but if you could send that to either me or Oscar, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Okay. I will I can forward an invoice and it has all the information on there. Does that work for you?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Actually, I'll do that right now while we're speaking. I have it live.
And then that other permit, are you related somehow to the crazy deals?
I was actually I was their accountant, so I helped them submit that initial application.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was some during the inspection process, there was a couple things that that was needed to final out the permit, and if I recall, I don't think it ever got finalized out. So there was a couple emergency lights that weren't working, and I'd have to go back in the computer, but
We did
yeah,
I do recall that while they were doing that, they did install secondary emergency lights that were needed prior to opening.
okay.
And that came along as well as that secondary exit door towards the street side.
Yeah, I don't think it was, 100 different items, but there was a few things that we just want to make sure that they did get done. So, but yeah, we can address that through this permitting process.
No problem.
That's all I had.
Thank you, James. And quickly, I would like to add, on the planning side, if you're proposing any future, like grand opening events, or some type of event that is not normally held on, for example, in the parking lot area,
Mhm.
it will require a temporary use permit in order for staff to evaluate the event, making sure um, um, it complies with each department's codes, especially for some life and safety measures. Also, if there's going to be any vendors, making sure that they go through their process to go through possibly business license and any other permits required.
Okay, I understand. And just for my own sake, my own knowledge, if we submit for an event like that, roughly speaking, how long does that process take to
Uh,
review?
the code requires minimum 30 days for
Okay.
the application to be submitted. It will require, for example, minimum providing a site plan of where the event's going to be held, where if you can have any vendors, areas that they'll be located, any restrooms, for example, just a layout of the area in order for staff to process it, have the departments review and receive approval.
Understood. Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And with that, we'll process this with now the fire marshal, which Clayton.
Pretty much for me, just based on some changes to the interior layout possibly, making sure or ensuring that we have a minimum of 2A 10BC fire extinguishers mounted in a readily visible and accessible location with no further than 75-foot travel distance between them.
Okay,
And also, again, one thing that was not finalized out previously is ensuring that we have Knox box in order to access the building, which can be obtained at knoxbox.com. And if there's any questions, you can reach out to me. I can usually over the phone walk you through the process. It's not difficult.
understood. Okay, I will go ahead and add that on there as well.
And that's
I'm
it
sorry.
for me.
Knox, NOX?
KNOX.
Yeah, NOX. Okay, and it's a Knox box. Got it. Okay, we'll make sure that we have that on there.
Okay.
Thank you, Clayton. Next with field service with Brianna.
The 3-bin trash enclosure, we really need to have that as a direct stab. So it will need to be at an angle. Previously, we had done a site visit and it was determined that if we put it down in that next southern, yep, right there, at that angle, that would be perfect.
Yes, sir.
Brianna, will it work for that site plan if it's just angled towards the south?
Yeah, I believe that's how, like following the same line of that parking space. I believe
Oh.
that's how, no, going northwest and southeast. But I believe that's how Cliff had suggested it for easier serviceability.
Traffic comes down south, right?
Yes, yeah, traffic goes south.
And then if needed, for room, we could always, remove stall number 12. To make sure if it fits per, the department's regulation, as this property is in the downtown district. And, it does have more flexibility for the parking, for the uses in this area. So again, worst case scenario, if we have to, remove stall number 12, there is flexibility there.
Yes, thank you, Oscar.
Thank you. Next with, Javier Sanchez.
Thanks, Oscar. Just by hearing that there's pretty minimal improvements, we expect the valuation low, and so engineering wouldn't have comments.
Thank you, Javier. Next with, Michael Knight.
Yeah, just to kind of go back also to the trash enclosure, just acknowledging with the placement in the parking stall, the path of travel would have to be delineated for pedestrian travel to the trash enclosure. With markings.
Yeah, so Mike, on that, what we've done lately after talking to DSA is they kind of, because that's a big topic. What they've allowed jurisdictions to do is if you dedicate somewhere in the building where someone inside can, if they are disabled, they can take it to a location somewhere inside, you know, like by a door, if you will. And then an able-bodied person can take it out to the dumpster without having path of travel.
Oh, that's great. That's great news then,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
that
it's helped us. It makes more sense. But it still allows somebody, say in a wheelchair, if they do want to, you know, be a custodian inside, it still allows them to have that option.
Okay, no, that sounds good. I just know that's been an ongoing discussion when we identify trash enclosures that are away from the building proper. So that's great news.
Right. Yeah, that was the biggest news of 2023 for me.
The only other comment that would come from field services or public works would be the backflow device required on the meter. I believe that was a comment previously. It looks like if you go to the corner of the street on your street view, I believe that's the meter for the facility. And there's not really much of a planter in there, but we could coordinate with the water department because we'll be upgrading the meter there to a 4G meter per the city's project for meterization. However, it will require a RP or a backflow preventer to be installed for the commercial property.
Thank you, Mike.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next with our police department, with Mark.
Hello, no comments from the police department.
Thank you. I believe that is all. Are there any questions on behalf of the applicant or agent based off of today's project?
One question on my end, and I don't
Yes.
mean it any pressure or anything, but rent's really expensive, and we'd like to get this open as soon as possible. If there's any way that the city can help us along as we submit this application in the next couple of days.
Yes, after today's meeting, we'll compile all the department's comments in a letter in a timely manner. Normally, it could take up to 2 weeks to receive that letter. On our end from planning, we will need to see an updated floor plan to make sure that the use itself, it's at 5,000 square feet or less. And also making sure that we have addressed all the department's comments. James, as far as the trash enclosure, of course, we will need for them to submit for a building permit application. We would need that finalized before occupancy.
No, but everything needs to be, submitted on paper. And then we would start the review process. Obviously the trash enclosure is gonna take some time, but we don't, what does time mean? Does it mean a day, a month, a year? So usually we give about 30 days for it to be finalized. So it would just need to get started right away. Well, all the work, to get it under 5,000, those walls would need to be started. So
I do know if we were to go out there and measure it today, I know that the actual training area is under 5,000 square feet. Otherwise, when we were laying it out for the machinery and equipment and what we needed, it did come up just a hair under 5,000. But Chris and I will make sure that does get submitted with everything drawn out, because the entire left side where the office spaces, restrooms, and that entire front area has nothing in terms of training functionality. And then the section outside to the right-hand side, all of that it's an empty storage shed. Nothing is actually in there.
Yeah, sounds good. Again, just showing that on the floor plan for planning. That way, it complies with the development code.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're able to get these comments to you sooner than later, then that is our goal.
And you guys, yeah, and you guys have the comments, right? I mean, from today's meeting, so you can get started right away, and then
it doesn't seem like it's too much of it.
submit the plans, and we'll do our best to help you out.
I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you. It is something that I wanted to do, both for myself and the community. We've needed a facility like this. And I think it does bring some good energy into that downtown area as well. So I'm glad that we can all work together to get this resolved.
And just for clarity, the business cannot open until that happens.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Sounds good. And just a question, for myself. Is there a membership process, for the, use? Are you guys gonna have like a membership program?
Correct, yes. And it's going to be a digital app system that we're using. But there will be a membership process along with it that gives access to the facility and for the training sessions.
Oh, nice.
I had a
Well,
few
yeah, thank
quick questions, if that's
Oh, go
okay.
ahead.
Okay, so James, regarding the designated space for the trash to be left within the building,
Mhm.
has a detail been put out for that, or is there like special signage needed or a certain amount of area?
If you could just put a 4x4 area on the floor and just specify, refuse drop off area,
Okay.
then we're good with that.
Okay, and then for either Brianna or Mike, I was having trouble trying to figure out the orientation you were going for. Were you saying parallel to the striping or perpendicular, kind of in the same line as that dimension line? Or
It would be parallel with that,
Okay.
where he has his mouse, his arrow
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right along
Okay.
that same line.
all right. I think that's all
And
my,
that-
yeah.
And that's the 28 feet plus the
The,
landscaping,
it will
right?
require the perimeter to have landscaping. So also,
On 3 sides, Oscar?
correct, because it's facing a parking lot. And yes, and it's visible from the street. So, that's where that comment came in regards to maybe, stall number 12 having to be modified, to make it work within code.
Okay, got it. And then would this need to go through another PRC, or is it a revise and proceed straight to?
No, it wouldn't require another meeting, to proceed. Just again, make sure, you send an updated, floor plan and then go through your building permit process. And you should be, good to go.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions, from the applicant or agent?
Nothing on my end. I don't know if Chris had anything else to add.
No, I think Kelsey kind of finalized everything that I was thinking of, and Sally, you kind of brought up a couple points, so I think we're good.
Fair enough.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you. Yes, thank you for the, application and, looking forward, to, assisting on any way we can, to make sure that we're able to, have this established. So yeah, so we'll work on getting these comments to the applicant and, the meeting, will end at, 2:03 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.